Two for the price of one. No one watches the longer ones. I just made a short one for fun. And the meaning of life. Who made God? Let's see, on the 8th day in Advent, who made God? Thought came to me. Well, the simple answer is, I know not. It is a mystery. I don't think. Well, good question. When we're asked that by a young person, for instance, or an old person. It always saddens me that Einstein, a brilliant physicist that he was, delving into the mysteries of the universe and matter and energy and all the stuff, and basically he did not believe in God. Stephen Hawking, too. Is it Hawkins? The chap who ended up in the wheelchair with the computer voice. Also definitely did not believe in God, and yet he's investigating mathematically and technically and everything, deep space and cosmological stuff and all the stuff. Whereas, as it were, the most simple, humble old peasant, ploughing his fields and scattering and praying for rain and sun and the like, just knows God. It's a bit of a conundrum, really. Who made God? That image is the deep field, Hubble deep field, space image of thousands of millions of stars and galaxies, all the thousands of millions of stars, and matter, the stuff, a chair, a table, etc. Ow. Didn't mean to do that. It's solid. All the solid material matter around us, and Earth, our little Earth as it were, and our medium-sized sun, which is a star, etc., etc. All of that matter only comprises some 5% of the universe, the known universe. They've managed to work out that it's, if I get the figures right, 67% dark energy and 28% dark matter. And then that's just leaving the 5% left. I mean, they partly worked that out by light curves, the areas in space which are dark, so it's probably a black hole. I think this is right knowledge. Light is curved around this area in space. I mean, we're talking vast, light years. I don't know. I don't know the details of all of this. I'm almost deliberately vague on it, because it's just so beyond all, you go down, as I say, that's a table, this is a chair. I've actually got two tables and 4 chairs in this room. So anyway, ultimately all matter are fields. It's a very good lecture. I used to be a member at the Royal Institute in London, in Albemarle Street, sort of scientific place, and it's a very good lecture. It was very well expounded, but a mathematician, a pure mathematician, and pure mathematics comes up with this all the universe is actually just field. So in the deepest of deep space, there's no physical matter, but there's still these fields. I think that's right. And how do you detect them? I don't know. It's neutrinos just bomb through us, don't they? They're so. I think they possibly do have a minuscule amount of mass, neutrinos. Are they massless? Are they just a wave? I don't know. I really ought to know this stuff better, but certainly squillions of them are just bombing through us in all directions all the time. And this lecture, he describes so lucidly. It's just, you'd think it's absurd. So we've got the sort of well-accepted model of what matter is. It's made up of molecules, and molecules are made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of a nucleus and electrons buzzing around, as it were, and so on. So there are neutrons and protons and so on in the nucleus, and they do have mass, and the electron has a tiny amount of mass, doesn't it? And then there's the standard model with its 12 fields, and then the Higgs boson was needed to sort of complete the mathematical model. I've got a screenshot of when they were talking about this. The whole universe is all encapsulated in this one little formula with various terms representing gravity and electromagnetics and so on. So it's all extraordinary stuff. But ultimately, no one has this answer. There is not an answer that sort of makes any logical kind of human sense. There's the concept, of course, that man invented God, as it were, to placate it, or to give some sort of meaning to the difficult, unexplainable things that happen in life. So God is actually just an invention of man, which I accept that concept exists, but I utterly reject it. It's just nonsense, as far as I'm concerned. But one returns to Einstein, obviously known as the brilliant scientist he was, with all his brain power, etc., and deep understanding of matter, and E equals mc squared, the famous equation that sort of simplifies everything down into the most extraordinary formula, C being the speed of light squared. So energy equals the mass of an object times the speed of light squared. So a teaspoon of matter, the P, the amount of energy in that, if you could release all that energy in just an ordinary common garden household P, would just be an extraordinary amount of energy. So there is no answer, essentially, to who invented, who made God. God was, God is, God will be. I've just been looking at the various what Google comes up with. There's nothing. Essentially, it's a mystery. So we're coming up to this birth of Christ, and so I've wandered on with the questions, and what was Christ? Was Christ God, or was Christ a human, etc.? But he was both. He was 100% God, spirit, and 100% human. So where did he get his Y chromosomes from? The male chromosome. So that's obviously a deep mystery as well. Joseph was his father, but he was not, in an ordinary biological sense, the biological father of Christ. So ultimately, all of this is a mystery. Faith is not a mystery in the sense that if one has faith, which is both beyond price and of no price, as it were. So Christ speaks of the field with the pearl beyond price in it, and the man sold everything and bought the field so he could have that pearl beyond price. That's faith. You can't put a price of human monetary value on faith, but it's through faith that one comes to a deeper knowledge and understanding of God. I think that's very clear. Over time, hopefully, one's sort of understanding, appreciation, knowledge of God deepens and strengthens. So there we are. I seem to be still somehow finding something to say about these matters each day. I don't know where they come from, these thoughts. I have no idea what I'll say tomorrow. And for that matter, actually, I'm not entirely sure what I said yesterday. I'm going to go through all of them leading up to this Christ Mass. It's sort of been partly brought on by the ghastly awfulness of the world in which I live, and this utter upsy-downsy, on its head business in the Holy Land, was essentially the most powerful, purportedly Christian country in the world, supporting to the hilt, both militarily, financially, morally, a country which is perpetrating genocide, ethnic cleansing, crimes against humanity. So that's America supporting Israel. And it's going on now. And I can't stop it. This man Netanyahu has just been welcomed by Germany, I think. Still strutting his stuff. He was strutting it in America. What's the awful little man whose name I won't say? Current President of the United States of America. Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of Britain. Yes, they've spoken out against it, but they're still supporting Israel militarily and financially and so on. It's not a clear scream from the purported the great and the good saying this is evil, this must stop now. And I can't fix that. And here we are, the year goes round and we're coming up to Christmas, so that's Advent, the arrival of Christ as a newborn baby, etc. That's the belief. I mean, he wasn't necessarily born on Christmas Day in the middle of the European winter. I think the most likely date he was born was more in the spring, seems to be. I researched that once. The references to sort of spring type, and the star, that star, I think they've found a planet or a star that was around and so on, and Christ's birth might have been 4 years after the date we have and so on. There's various stuff about that as well. It doesn't matter. What matters is here and now today. Blessedly, if one recognizes it, I awake and I'm alive. I've got all my material needs catered for. It's not luxury, but I mean, compared to someone living in the Gaza Strip or the West Bank or Sudan or the Congo or Indonesia, now they've just had all these floods, Thailand too, I think, in the Far East. South America, there's stuff. Faith matters. It's the one thing I can definitively get right. What is the meaning of life? The meaning of life is to love God through Christ. Like a child, you hold your hand out and pray for God's guidance. Amen. Deep field. Oh, my little friends. Oh, silly me. I live alone. And with my spiders, actually. I'm rather fond of my old spiders. Extraordinary thing, these eyes. Just in my kitchen, the light. Totally out of the corner of my eye, the spider was just tiny little one. Tiny thing. I mean, a couple of millimeters across or something, 3 millimeters maybe. Much less than half a centimeter. Tiny spider on these little wavy bit of stuff. And it was over there, and I could have just kind of knocked him and he would have fallen on the floor. I might have stood on him. But out of the corner of my eye, so one's eye is focused, there's this kind of point that you see clearly very straight ahead of you, but my eye knew there was something in the air there, and I just turned. I was half asleep as well. Extraordinary thing, human beings, nature, everything, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. The meaning of life, to love God through Christ. Amen. Ha! Oops. Silly ass. There's light in my Christian place, the light of Christ shining in the darkness. Amen.